Hello there, and welcome to MacYak episode 166.
Audio.
Is there an issue with my audio? Can you hear me?
Yes.
You can?
Oh, I thought my speakers had.
No, I
had
thought my
AIDS.
speakers were bad, but yeah, it was your microphone is really, really bad there, Bruce.
What's wrong with it?
It sounds like you got a lot of static.
Remember
behind
that
it.
issue I had with my mic a year ago?
Oh, really? That
I gave it to
Yes.
you.
testing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
It's still there.
Oh, someone else will have to talk until I get this sorted out.
All right, I will go ahead and do, or unless Jay wants to, because he's never done this before.
I never want to. I'm just here because I get paid.
All right, guys, welcome to another episode of MacYak number 166. Bruce was supposed to be the host tonight, but microphone problems erupted there, so we will try to see.
I
if he
think
can
you
fix
set
it.
him up.
I probably did, yeah.
Yeah.
No audio at all now. No audio. So, anyways, guys, welcome. And this is not a WWDC rant video. We did that Monday night. So this is just our normal MacYak Thursday night special every 2 weeks there. So, Jay, what you been up to, man?
Just for clarification, every 2 weeks, that is bi-weekly, right?
Yes.
Fortnightly.
All right, there we go. Now we got
Bruce is
audio
back.
for Bruce.
I'm using a crappy microphone, but it's obviously better than what I had before. So,
Oh, yes,
Nah,
much
I
better.
wouldn't go that far, but we can hear you.
that's good.
So I'm going
Yummy.
to throw the hosting over to you now. So
Okay, so people may have noticed that I'm not in my normal background. And that's because I'm down in the workshop because we're getting bathroom renovations done, and there's a lot of noise inside the house. Now, the flip side to that is I have a tiny weeny little screen, so I'm juggling the show notes and the show and the chat and all that stuff here. So everyone, please bear with me. But welcome to everyone. What's everyone been up to? GT, anything interesting?
nothing but tonight, after the show tonight at 10 p.m., I will be doing a live stream
Yay!
on the Mac Attack channel.
It's about time. We've been bugging you to live stream for a long time. Now we just got to get Jay to as well. So.
I know. He's monetized, and I'm not.
Yeah. Okay. So he's got no excuse. So what about you, Jay? You been doing anything interesting?
I think he's...
There we go. That's my headset. I have, by the way, being monetized just means that you made it, you're done, you stop trying now. You don't have to do anything.
Okay.
That's how it works, really. I have not done anything. A lot of training for the new job. I've been, I don't know if that was this week or last week, recapping a lot of power supplies for Xserves. And that's about it.
Do you feel like you're earning your keep in this new job?
Oh, definitely. Just by being there.
You're just taking it all up a notch, yeah?
Yeah. I'm setting the bar high.
Okay, well, I haven't been doing a whole lot lately. I think I did a live stream, but that's about it. I am way behind in all of my sort of pre-recorded video projects, but as I say, life is very busy at the moment, so that's just how it is. But other than that, nothing particularly interesting from my neck of the woods. So I guess we should probably address the fact that we are missing a few people. Steve's not here because he's somewhere else. Mike's not here because he's somewhere else, and Grudy's not here because he doesn't know what day of the week it is.
Dana is still on his way home.
And Dana's not
Yes,
doing anything.
He's on.
He does-
Dana's
he
on his
doesn't
way
do stuff.
here. Yeah. So other than driving here, so we will have a fourth person, so we can get some symmetry on the screen here, which of course is really important.
Are we streaming? Is anybody seeing lag? Because I'm seeing on the live stream, it looks like it's doing a little circle thing.
No, we're good.
We're good. Okay. Just want to make sure.
I'm not actually watching the stream, but it's what I'm actually watching here is definitely out of sync with.
What I can see though is that there's 15 people watching and only a few people click the thumbs up. So
Yeah.
Come on,
That's-
people.
Thanks.
Smash that like button.
Well, let's do this early then.
Smash that like button.
it's funny because it's your voice in that clip as well.
Yeah, I know.
You do it better in the clip, Bruce. I'm sorry.
I know.
Yes, I do. I did have a little bit of pitch shift help with that one.
Oh,
I dropped my
okay.
voice down just a tiny bit using a pitch shifter. So
Before you get started, it's
too late.
we're 6 minutes in. We can go off script right away. Two things. First, a whistleblower has come forward and said that you are having one of those things installed in your new bathroom, like that washes your ass and stuff. Is that true?
A
All
bidet?
right,
No.
A bidet, yeah.
Unfortunately, with a bathroom so small, we won't. But we will have underfloor heating. So won't that be nice?
Ooh, fancy. All right. And the other thing that isn't in the show notes, but I wanted to throw out there real quick. Have we been keeping up with everything that happened during the presentation, Apple's presentation on Monday? Have there been new developments? And we're going into this a little bit later, but product-wise, or any shocking new revelations since then?
I haven't seen anything.
Not that I've heard. No.
Okay.
I've heard we will obviously cover this, but I've heard a lot of people whinging about the beta, but we'll get onto that later.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I was saying we might want to skip that because that was basically we wanted to rag on Steve because of what
I
he
can still
did.
do that.
No,
He doesn't
no,
need to be here.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, no, he doesn't need to be here. It's better if he can't defend himself. It's way better.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I saw that because I didn't see the whole keynote. I saw that after the fact that there's still a MacBook Pro with a touch bar today. Like, what the hell? I thought they got rid of
Yeah,
that.
no, I have to admit, I was surprised about that as well. But yeah,
Isn't that is it an M1 or is it?
I don't know,
an
but
Intel?
there's weirdos like that guy that are all for it.
Well, he does a lot of weird stuff, anyways, on his
Yeah,
channel.
that's true.
Yes, I actually thought we'd seen the end of the touch bar. I was very surprised to see it being added to the M2. So, but yeah.
Yeah, the only place I expected to see that was on your T-shirt.
Yeah,
going
that's
forward.
right. Yes, indeed. It's a very esoteric shirt. No one notices it. No, people don't come up to me in the street and go, "Apple, man, Apple." None of that. None of that. That just does not happen. So, okay. So, all right, let's get into the show, shall we? We've got a few topics here to get through. So,
Yeah, might as well.
we'll start with the trouble in NVIDIA Apple land. Driver certificate expired. NVIDIA drivers cannot be installed or used anymore on High Sierra. Now, okay, so the obvious question here is, can't you just change the date of your computer back to when the certificate was around? Why not?
Because I think they yanked the permissions completely because those specific certificates were actually hacked, and now there's some evil folks out there that are trying to use those certificates to do evil things. So Apple pretty much yanked them completely. So that's the reason why you cannot just back the date up and do that.
So is now a good time to say what we've been saying for the last few years? Say, F NVIDIA, just get an AMD card.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
I mean, people who have NVIDIA cards built into their computer can't really do much about that.
They can buy a new computer.
But most of those computers that have them built in are already cannot load, Mojave and higher anyway. So,
But we're talking about High Sierra, aren't we?
yes, High Sierra is fine, but you're not getting any updates anyways. But I don't think I think you could still run.
I thought High Sierra was a problem.
Well, High Sierra for you to download the web drivers for like a CMP or something like that has an NVIDIA card on it. I think anything that has an NVIDIA card built into it, like an iMac or something, I think those are fine because, to be honest with you, Apple just basically disabling iMac that's perfectly good. People are going to get pissed, even though it might be obsolete. But
So do we care?
I don't.
I don't, because everything I have in my CMP is all Radeon or AMD. So
Yes. Oh well.
Yeah. Does anyone in the chat care? I don't see much.
you know what's funny about
raging.
that? In fact, I traded a NVIDIA 1060 card for a AMD 580 that was already Mac Flash, so I just stuck it in my CMP, and that's what I'm using now for this computer. I thought that was a good trade.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have pretty much moved away from NVIDIA everything. I mean, I'm sort of after Apple distanced themselves from them. So, and once again, let's not forget, Apple want to sell you new hardware. So,
yeah. I've never purchased an NVIDIA anything. Unless it was built into, I think the iMac G4 had a model that had NVIDIA, and maybe a PowerBook at some point, but I didn't go out and look for an NVIDIA card ever. I always had ATI cards, and then it became AMD. Always, never an issue.
I really can't say that because I did buy my wife a 3060 NVIDIA card for her computer, her gaming computer. So.
Right, but we all know you don't like your wife, so.
Well, it's to be honest with you, the NVIDIA cards in a PC are much better for gaming than AMD cards, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I honestly don't see that we can get much more out of this topic.
Yeah, screw NVIDIA. Move on.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll move on to the next one. And this is an Apple memo says original iPad Pro and the Apple TV HD will become vintage products next month. So once again, we've been here before. We've seen it happen before where Apple products, they become vintage. They no longer support them, and they want us to buy new ones. It's a fairly standard sort of thing. Is this particular process out of the ordinary?
No.
Although they have sped it up with macOS Ventura. They axed a lot of hardware.
Oh yeah, they skipped the 2016 completely.
Yeah, they did.
The question I have: the Apple TV HD, is that the thicker hockey puck?
HD, yeah. It's
That's
not the
the one
4K. It's not the 4K, but it is the fat
before
one.
that. Okay, so that's the one I currently have that I still use. That has the touch controller. It has the black controller with the touchpad on it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the
we-
one I have.
We're talking about one that does 1080, yeah?
Yes.
Is it the first model to do 1080?
Yes.
I believe so.
Because the thinner ones did 720, I believe.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I've got is exactly the same size as the 721, but it's 1080.
No kidding.
Yeah, no, it is because I mean, you literally can't tell them apart. So,
Well, I mean, the one I have is a little
you're
bit
right.
thicker.
The third generation, the skinny one, can do 1080p. So I had a second generation then.
I must have the second generation then too. So,
But no, this is the fourth generation, the first fatty.
oh,
the
is it?
first fatty is that the one that they're turning into discontinued?
Vintage,
I think, or
Yeah.
vintage. Yep.
Which is weird because that model runs the latest tvOS. The iPad Pro, the first iPad Pro, runs the latest iPad OS. So the hardware is capable enough to stick around for a few years.
I guess it's one of Apple's cheapest products, so I guess they're wanting to try and get higher turnover. I mean, how's it going to impact on most people? I mean, those devices. I mean, from my perspective, they just sit there and keep working. I mean, I don't need to do anything. I mean, if that breaks, I'm not going to take it to Apple and ask them to repair it. I'm just going to get a new one. So
Yeah.
Oh, aren't you fancy?
yeah. Oh, you can tell. You can tell how fancy I am.
I see that sign behind you. It's very fancy. Dan made it. Dan is here, people.
So,
Congratulations, Dan.
well, I'm lucky that I basically sold my original iPad Pro a couple of years ago. So when I got the iPad 7th gen for me and my wife, so we got rid of our iPad, the original iPad Pro.
But I've recently acquired an iPad Pro, and I'm very happy with it.
Well, that's the one. The iPad Pro is the one that uses the first gen pencil too. That one,
Yep. And that's the
We
one.
don't need to hear that story, Bruce. We
It's the
can.
one I managed to unlock that time.
because it was 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Wasn't that a good one, Jay? Okay. All right. Let's moving on. Okay. So Right. Obviously, with this story here, no real surprises. Sorry, as in the old story we were talking about, just summarizing that. Next one is okay. Apple won just past $200,000 on eBay with 3 days left to bid. Crikey! So
That's a lot of cash.
Actually, there's 2 days and 15 hours left right now on it.
I have to ask: is eBay really the best place to sell something of this value?
What cut did they take?
It's probably a big cut because you got to figure they take a percentage. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would personally, if I had that thing, I would not sell it on eBay. As soon as the word is out there, it'll spread anyway. Whether it's a flea market sale or eBay or wherever, people will find it if they
all
want.
right, I can't paste
So-
that link because it's too.
I wouldn't
too
go
long.
eBay just because of the cut that they take. I would put it on tinkerdifferent.com. Probably.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hang on, I'm just going to put a link in to the chat so people can.
Yeah, that
click on
link is ridiculous.
I know I couldn't paste it because it was over the limit.
it. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So I mean, the thing is about the Apple One, and it's because there were so few of them. It's highly collectible, all that sort of stuff. Very important part of the personal computer industry and all that sort of stuff. But I mean, I don't know. You'd need a lot of money to be able to just drop $200,000 on.
Well,
Yeah.
you also got to remember though, this particular one was signed by Steve Wozniak.
He signs anything.
Seriously.
I know, but this is, I think,
mean-
the only Apple One.
If I show up at his house butt naked, I will leave with a signature somewhere on my body. He will sign anything.
Yeah.
It's a different story if you get something signed by Steve Jobs, because
Yeah.
pretty much the only thing he ever signed were checks. So he in one instance he signed inside of a MacBook, but sort of inside the battery compartment. But I think that's about it. So so if you see things with his signature on it, you can usually be pretty sure they're fake. But yeah, I mean,
High paying career. Yeah. I'm rich, man. I'm rich.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I have an Apple One replica, one that I built just so that I could fire it up, play with it, and see what it was like to use an Apple One. That's enough for me. I don't really feel the need to
Well,
actually own one.
Whoever buys this, it has to be an investment, right? Nobody buys this because they love Apple so much they really want this piece of history. They buy it in the hopes that they can double the profit later or flip it for a profit at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe put it in a glass cabinet and put it on display in a building or something like that.
It's pretty much like Bruce said, it's an investment. I think he's going to buy it, and later on down the road, when they become even more valuable, because this is still a working one. How many working ones are left out there? I mean, I know there's a registry for Apple Ones, and some of them are non-functional, but
Well, they should send them to Branca's Creations for some recapping, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
those are some big caps on that thing. So
I'll replace them all with tantalums.
Authenticity. But yeah, I'm curious to see what it goes for. I don't think it'll reach 5. Yeah, some people said this will go for $500,000 easy. I don't know. Unless people are sitting there waiting to snipe each other in the last 5 minutes, and suddenly it'll be a $750,000 sale. But
well, I might have to just watch that as it goes to the last couple of minutes just to see how high it goes. Garth said it's going for 1.2 million.
yeah,
Okay, Garth, do you have that much? You could go ahead and put that bid in.
turn on that attic AC, man. You're having a heat stroke.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't know what the last one sell for, and how long ago was it?
I mean, I think that I can't remember.
But
it's on there. This is stuff that we probably should have researched before the show.
well, this one also
Well, the person that
doesn't
put
have
this
all-
in the notes should have been here.
but
was it me?
this one actually doesn't have all original parts either, because he had to replace some of the parts with newer parts. It's in the listing and stuff, but
No.
it was a non-working Apple One. I think the way they go by is that it wants to be as much original as possible. It's got the original processor. And actually, there's a video on YouTube showing him cleaning it up because he thought there was a lot of corrosion on it, but yet it was not corrosion. It was like the plastic stuff that, when you have a bag over it or something, it was the stuff that was all over it and everything. But
so there was one that sold in November last year for 400,000. There was one that sold in 2016 for 815,000. So, and there was one that sold in 2014 for 905,000.
Oh wow. Okay. Maybe it will make it that far then.
there we go. I like Sean's. That was the original price of the Apple One.
Well, I'm looking at this board, right? There's nothing complicated on there. Apart from the speaker, I would take off the speaker and then just toss the rest into the ultrasonic cleaner, right? Clean that thing up real nice.
I think the only problem is depending on the UV mask. If it's a bit old, that might flake off in the ultrasonics.
Yeah, I really think. Oh wait, we got him in here.
You said his name 3 times.
There he is.
I'm here for my punishment.
I thought you had a family thing.
I just got back.
Ah, okay.
That was the first half of the punishment. How was the second?
How's everyone doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, and so Jay, you're bidding on this, right?
I did.
No, I thought you were, because now you got a nice fancy.
No, I put a bid in very early on.
My $2 bid has been grossly outbid by this point.
Yep. But we can say we're part of history. We bid on it.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
right.
I don't think anybody
Mate.
wants to bid over 200,000 though, because you might get stuck.
That's a
with
little risky. Yeah.
I mean, knowing how much an Apple One can do, which is not much, the real value of this thing is bragging rights and it's signed, I guess. I mean, look, don't get me wrong.
Open core.
Don't get me wrong. It's a cool product, but I wouldn't want to really have that responsibility.
Well, I think that they did way better when they came out with the Apple II. I mean, it just
Well,
it was a hell of a
obviously,
lot
I mean,
more.
worlds apart. I mean,
Oh,
from
yeah.
something that they were fiddling around with in a garage to
Oh yeah.
Became one of the best-selling personal computers.
Yes, exactly.
Probably the best-selling at the time. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Oh, well.
Speaking of which, I still have
Okay.
to get mine from Steve, and he still has to get his stuff from me. So
Yes,
one of these
well-
days we got to do that.
Well, there's continuing VCF events, so you just
know.
got to come up one of those times, and we'll hang out. That'd be great.
Yep.
And
Maybe
when they
my
have one in
basement will be
Ohio,
clean by
I'll be
then.
there.
I said maybe my basement will be clean by then.
Oh, come on now! You can't clean it just for me, because
Then you'll be like,
Mike would be mad then, because you're like, why'd you clean it for Greg and not for me?
he's probably seen it the cleanest, and then I got all the stuff from the garage in the basement, and
Ah.
went all downhill from there.
I know you don't care about NVIDIA stuff, Steve, but did you have anything to add about the iPad Pro and the Apple TV HD getting the axe?
I mean, it's just a numeric thing at this point, right? It's
See how suddenly Steve doesn't care about any of that stuff now that
Well,
he
I
has
mean-
a studio on his desk?
no.
Like,
When I
got
have
the latest.
if I was stuck with an Apple TV HD, I'd be like, but I have the slightly
I
newer
don't-
one.
I don't really understand why. I mean, what impact is there going to be? It's not like it's suddenly going to stop working.
No, I mean, I guess it would be more incentive for them at this point to be like, well, we don't have to support that anymore. But then again, how much like that the model they're discontinuing, that was the model before the App Store, correct?
What's that?
The Apple TV. Well, what generation was it?
No. They had the
No,
App
this
Store.
had App Store.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this, which generation is this?
That's what I was
Fourth.
curious about.
Because
No.
I've
Oh
got-
no, you're right. I think Steve's right.
Yeah, because the
Because-
4th generation one is still being sold.
What?
Yeah, because it's just not 4K. That's all. The Apple TV HD. Let's see. I'm looking at the thing here.
That's the one that Bruce has, the small one that does 1080p.
Yeah, released in 2015. Oh,
Yeah,
really?
that's
Wait,
the
no,
fourth
this.
generation.
Yeah, no, this is.
As you can see, Steve came prepared, guys.
Well, I
We
wasn't
all
planning on coming. It says
I know.
one possible explanation is that Apple TV HD is a typo, and actually Apple meant to refer to the revision A edition of the third generation Apple TV, which was discontinued in October 2016, but remained available. So that's what I think is being discontinued, because it makes absolutely no sense to discontinue the one with the Siri remote with all the apps on it, because it still works. It still runs the latest version of iOS. So,
Yeah,
or
and
tvOS rather.
yep, and you can, it is connected to the App Store and all that sort of stuff. Because I'm pretty sure that's the one that I have, and I mean it's
It's got the black. It's got the black
I'm sure
remote and
there's
the silver
studies
remote.
out there, but I only know one person that owns a 4K television. Everyone else is 1080p.
I have
Well,
a
the
4K.
reason I
Oh.
bought a 4K TV is because my Panasonic Plasma, which was just a standard HD TV, had a transformer crack, and there was a horrible pitched whine. And when I went to go to the store to get a new one, all the 1080p models were like garbage quality. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to get that.
I'm gonna stay with 1080p as long as I possibly can.
Oh, honestly, most of the content I watch is 1080p, and so it's sad. I mean, I have a few movies that I bought the fancy discs for, and sometimes I rent a movie that's in 4K. But really, unless you have a really big set, you don't notice too much other than like nicer colors and things like that.
Are you sure?
Exactly.
I mean,
Because I'm not looking forward to overhauling 2 terabytes of Plex just to turn everything into 4K.
No, honestly, because it's doing
Up
an
conversion.
accurate doubling of the pixels, or quad doubling, whatever the heck it is. You don't really. It's not like, oh, 1080p looks terrible. It's like, yeah, it looks nice. I have a 65-inch screen, and when I'm watching 1080p, it's very hard to distinguish 4K versus that. I mean, yeah,
I
you'll
totally
notice some
agree.
clarity and details, but like, it's not like you have to go like A/B comparison to actually notice it. It's not like, oh my gosh, like if you went like to OLED from a regular LCD TV, okay, then you're noticing a difference. Thanks, Jay. I'm just gonna move my head over here.
the no, it's gone. Sorry.
This is a good yak tonight.
We're just getting
Well,
warmed up, people.
I got up very, very early this morning, so my brain's a little bit jelly-like.
So you've been hitting the wine already, or
No one yet. But I tell you what, I'll be starting early today. I can promise you that.
Hold on a second.
It's only 10:30 a.m. where Bruce is right now.
Let me check this on the.
but it's 5
app for a
o'clock
second.
somewhere in the world.
Bruce,
Hmm.
I'm checking the weather app here. It is currently the exact same temperature in that shed while you're here on MacYak as it was yesterday when you refused to do a live stream because it was too cold.
Well, look at
And
his
you know-
jacket he has, and he has a jacket on.
You could have worn a jacket yesterday. Come on.
Do you want to know the irony of that whole situation, Jay? The moment I said it's too cold down in the shed, I don't want to live stream, I came down here and built 5 blue scabbers. So I think at the
It
end
was
of the
all
day,
over his Patreon. Bruce had a Patreon,
Yeah,
and you didn't see it.
when you said I should live stream, I should have just given you the honest answer and said I can't be bothered.
Instead, you lied.
Oh,
Instead, I lied about the temperature.
and he's publicly admitting it. That's the mistake
Yeah.
number 2 you did, Bruce.
Yep.
Yep. Don't lie. Just don't lie.
so
to-
I've got a question for you, Steve. So you didn't consider repairing your television set?
Oh, it's in the attic. Maybe like in 5 years when I find out how to get a replacement transformer. I actually took the whole back off. I took everything off. I took detailed photos of. It was before I knew you, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd be like, "Hey, Bruce, what's this transformer?" And you'd be like, "Oh, it's a whatever the heck." Or Kai or somebody would have been like, just right out of your brain. But the transformer has a crack in it, and so when the machine is on, when the display is on there's a horrible high pitched whine. And so you have to crank the stereo system that we have quite up, to actually drown that out. And for a while, I was using it as a teleprompter when I was doing my videos. When I did the first iMac video I was using that TV as a teleprompter because it's a big 42-inch screen. It was like 10 feet away from me, but the whine was still coming up on the audio. Dana is Dana.
Hello, Dana.
So yes, maybe one day, Bruce. It's still a nice.
So,
Steve is here as well.
Oh.
I recently repaired a television set, and if anyone wants to hear or find out all of the details,
No.
I just have to become a Patreon.
No.
My Patreon.
Yes, Bruce has a Patreon now. You should go support him. Last I looked, you didn't have any posts though. Did you add a post?
I've got 2 posts in there now.
Well, now I'm missing out.
That means that Steve cheaped out and he chose the tier that doesn't see any posts.
I don't have a paycheck yet. We're waiting still. I'm being very stingy for the next few weeks.
Well, all those posts will be waiting for you when you.
Excellent. It's like 3 of them complaining about me. That's
What is the link to my Patreon? Oh, I'm so looking forward to putting this up.
he has to find it first.
Patreon.com/Brankus Lies.
All right, so am I going to get my beating over with here about the beta stuff?
Yeah.
Are
Let's
we
do
there?
it.
Are we
Do it.
there?
Come on.
Oh, no, we're not there yet. We're not
Oh, man.
It's next on the list. For
It is. It actually is. Yes. Sorry.
We're there. We are there.
So,
This time.
do I defend myself first, or do what happens?
Oh, no. It doesn't work.
All right,
that
well,
way.
let me.
I
No,
want Jay
you
to
go
introduce
first.
this one. I would really like Jay to introduce.
Well,
this.
I'd like to explain what happened, and then everyone could crap on me. But
Yeah, you go.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry,
as long
so-
as I can crap on you,
I mean, that's what everyone's here for. So I like any silly person who does
fiber.
Oh boy, this is gonna go downhill real quick. So like any person who watched the WWDC stuff and then you make YouTube content that's related to that, ideas start storming in your heads. And so I started looking at some of the videos that people put out there, like kind of the Computer Clan and Mr. Macintosh and all that stuff about, or posts that they made about the new stuff. And I was looking at system settings, which is the new name for system preferences, and they didn't touch on it in the keynote. So I was very curious about it. And it turns out it's a complete rewrite and overhaul of system preferences. And I think they really missed the mark on this. And I did a video. It's on Patreon. It'll probably be released tomorrow or so, because it's just blah. And you'll have to watch my video to see why. But anyway, I thought, I want to get a hold of the beta. I want to download it. I want to put it on my Mac, and I want to play around with it and do a video about it. A classic Steve Rants video. And I had the whole day empty. I had nothing to do. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to focus on this video and I'll get it out like ASAP because it's the hot new thing and I'll get the views, which never works out. Anybody who thinks I'll put out a video to get the views on this hot topic, it doesn't work out. Anyway, but I don't learn my lesson. That's just the whole moral of the story. So you do what anybody does. You go to developer.apple.com, you click on macOS, and there's 2 buttons you have. You have a download button. And then below that, it says if you have an Apple Silicon Mac, here's an IPSW, which is a restore disk. So I click the download button because that's what you got there. So I click download, and it downloads like a 4 meg file, which is just the certificate package thingamajig. And when you download that, you double click on it and it installs. And as soon as you install it, a feedback assistant thing comes up and says feedback assistant is here if you have to report feedback. I'm sorry, Dana. Your cat does not like my story.
I don't like your story.
Well, you're here. I'll stop talking. But
No, keep going.
so I downloaded Feedback Assistant. I downloaded the assistant thing to do the beta, the version 13 of macOS, which is cursed anyway. And then I followed the article on the Apple website, which says you can install it on another volume. So I made a brand new volume called Ventura, and since it's APFS and all that stuff, you could add volumes and delete them. It's not like adding a partition or anything like that. And so I added a thing, and I was prompted after I downloaded the package, software update opened. And software update said download, or whatever the button was, for the Mac OS. And I thought it was like every other beta that I have used, where you click download, your progress bar goes across, and then you get an icon on your desktop as a disk image, you double click, and you do the install. Well, I was wrong, because Apple has seemingly changed this. And if you go to the Apple developer forums, a lot of people experience the same exact thing that I did. Because once you click download, that progress bar goes, and then you get a prompt that looks like every other prompt that, you have to reboot, and then you'll be able to install the OS. And I'm like, okay, great. I'll reboot, then I'll select the volume when it asks me. It don't ask you. It don't ask you. So what ended up happening was, no details come up. You just get an Apple logo and that little progress bar. And I'm like, that's a little suspicious, but maybe it's booting from a partition because I don't know. It's an M1 Mac. Things are weird. And about 20 minutes later, I got my desktop back, and I'm like, oh, what's this? Why is my iMessage open? Why is the last web page I had open? This is strange. And then I realized it had updated my primary startup volume with the macOS beta. And in the process of doing that, it also overwrites the restore disk of like 8 gigs or whatever that you have built into these new Macs. So instead of a Monterey backup when you hold down the power button, Monterey, you have the macOS beta one on there. So here I am. I was all excited to record Ventura and all this stuff, and I'm like, crap. And yeah, so I had to make sure my Time Machine backup was all happy, and then, you know, I liked a 300 gigabyte Final Cut Pro library. I really didn't want to waste time copying, but that was on an external thing. I had to like just check a bunch of crap, and then I had to follow some very weird instructions of how to install, get a USB installer of Monterey, and then boot off of that, which apparently you can't do with the T2 Mac, but you can do with the M1 Mac. And then I was able to wipe the hard disk, put Monterey back on it, and then restore from my Time Machine, and it was all good. But a tidbit that I learned that apparently a lot of people didn't know, and this is really cool. They changed the way Time Machine works. I think it was around Big Sur or so, as Mr. Macintosh told me. And so usually in the past, if you did a backup of the Mac OS like on a beta, you could not restore that on the previous version. It just would not let you do it. But that works now, because when I was in Ventura, guess what happened? Time Machine just started to go, oh, let's back up the stuff. And it backed up like 2 files. And I'm like, oh, great. My Time Machine is now tainted or whatever. And so when I installed Monterey, it says, do you want to restore from backup? I said, yes. And it's like, no, you can't do that. You got to do it once it's installed. So I waited for it to install. And then once it did, I clicked on the Time Machine icon. It really told me I should use Migration Assistant, but I think it got confused and it just let me do it. So, yay.
30 minutes later.
40 minutes. It was much more than that. And I actually, I was recording footage on my...
about your install. I was talking about your story.
Sorry. You want to know the details. But I recorded myself doing it, and I'm like 8 hours later, and then the joke was on me. So
I would really like to put it out to the chat. I would like to see what people's opinions are. Do people think that this was a pretty mean thing of Apple to do, to go in and change the way things work without telling anyone?
Yes.
No, it's Apple.
Do you think it is just that's if you are in doing something as a developer beta, you have to just accept whatever happens. Now, if you're not happy with it, you provide feedback. That's what the beta is for.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious to see whether people think, yes, this should have been documented, or whether they think...
Yeah, some of us don't have double machines. This is the only machine I can install it on. The software is too good.
Can I start shitting all over these crybabies now?
Come on.
Yeah, you could do that, and then I'll beat it right back at you.
As Starbuck Tuck said, you never install beta on your primary system. Ever. You just don't do it. You'd be stupid to do it, and if you get bit by some bug...
You call me stupid?
I called you much worse yesterday. Come on.
Let's put it on the screen.
Demonetized.
So yeah, beta, you keep a beta install away from your primary system and your important files. You disconnect every external drive you have. You pull every internal drive you can pull. You turn off your backups. Then you start, maybe back in the day, you create a partition, or now with APFS, you create whatever, and you get to work. The bugs in a beta don't start only after it's been installed. The installer itself can be a hot mess too, as thousands of people found out over the last week.
Told you.
I think you had it coming. All of it.
Oh, well, of course. You always think everything is coming to me, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, I supported you with mouse cam.
Oh, worked out well.
I'll put another mouse cam up. Would that make it better?
Yes.
I mean, my stance is this: whether you're developing something as a beta or you're developing something that's going out to the public, there's a reason that you're being paid to document things, and if you're not documenting things, you're a bad software company. When I worked at a software company that was doing, bi-weekly sprints and was just the most minor things, there was a ticket for it. documentation had to be updated, whether it was internal or external, and it was just good practice. Now, for a software update or a beta installer, whatever it is, for the primary functionality, which has always been, hey, where do you want to install it, to, oh, by the way, we're just going to put it on there. That's a pretty radical change. And so I'm not saying it's Apple's fault that I screwed this up, because I'm an idiot and I obviously was just going derp and did the install and it blew up on me. But what I'm saying is that page where it says download and you got the two options there, download and the thing, there should at least be a little like thing of like, oh, you know, if you want the actual like full disk installer that you're all used to, yeah, you can't get that anymore unless you know certain people and they give you a hyperlink and that downloads a 12 gig package file. And when you undo that, then it's a full installer. You know, it was just very different. So when you would go to this whole software update thing, which was very similar to how you did it in the previous beta, the install process up until the machine reboots was all the same. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you just don't select the disk. So that's all I'm saying is no matter what, documentation should be important.
You apparently didn't watch Crazy Ken's.
I did watch it.
He actually did it on a separate volume.
Yes, and I did. And you know why? Because he got the special link from Mr. Macintosh. Which, of course, after this all went down, I was texting Ken and Ryan of Mr. Macintosh and being like, what did I do wrong here? And they're like, oh, did you go in and click the download button? They're like, yes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't have the special link on my website yet, but here it is now. And this was like 5 hours after the fact. I'm like, oh, thank you for providing that, which I then used after, and then I currently have it on the second volume, and everything's fine.
I watched his video, but I don't remember him saying anything.
No, see, Ken didn't show anything. Ken just showed the thing mounted, which is why I was lured into this false sense of, oh, well, obviously that's how he did it, because that's the only button on the Apple site. You just click the down. No.
We're blaming Ken now.
Sure. We'll just love you, Ken.
But I will agree that it's a very radical change, but it's a beta.
Oh,
and
no,
since,
of course.
What was it? I think High Sierra was the first one where the OS installers actually included the firmware updates. Now, let's say that they wouldn't. The process was the same. You click the download button, everything went as it should. You picked the volume and you installed it, and then the firmware was borked. The whole system was like there's still 90% of the people that were downloading this beta over the last week were not developers.
Oh, of course, and
they didn't need it.
Yeah.
So,
oh no, I fully accepted the risk when I clicked the download button. I mean, that's part of the license agreement that you're reading. I mean, look, I had a Time Machine backup. I had a external drive which had my user directory, and all my videos and projects are on external drive. So as soon as this happened, I realized I just unplugged everything, and I'm like, all right, well, only the internal SSD on this Mac is affected. I still have all my data. Backblaze was still going and everything. So I was, a good test of my backups is how I'm spinning this story.
Yeah.
I'm making an executive decision here, and I'm moving to another topic. How does everyone feel about that?
All right.
What are we doing?
Moving to another topic.
But I can lay into Steve for another hour at least. Come on.
Yeah, but he is very intent on defending himself. So
I just told everybody I'm an idiot and I shouldn't have done it. So
there we go. That's all I was looking for.
And it'll make for a good video. Let's just say that.
But there have been some people that have tried to install Ventura using OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Results so far have not been very good because it's OpenCore Legacy Patcher just isn't ready yet. Actually, the guy that works on OpenCore Legacy Patcher was at the keynote, and he's still figuring out how to make it all work. But I'm sure that he'll figure it out at some point, or the team that works on it will figure it out. Mac Pro users, 4.1, 5.1, look to be shit out of luck, basically.
To put it eloquently.
Yeah. So I think, without all the details, which we'll get into in a minute, I think this Monterey is as far as the classic Mac Pro will go.
Yes.
And I am at peace with that. I have sitting here a machine under my desk that can run.
It didn't sound like
Snow
you were
Leopard.
saying sitting.
Snow Leopard to Monterey flawlessly. I don't have any other Mac that can claim that many operating systems as reliably and as smooth as the Mac Pro can claim. You know, this is by far the best machine I've ever owned. And if this is the end of the road, you know what? I'm cool with it. I got 12 years out of this thing, or 10 years.
So it's my understanding that the issue here is the actual CPUs that the classic Mac Pro uses, that
Yes.
they are different to the sort of CPUs like the i5s, i7s, that sort of thing. So they have different instruction set or something like that. Go ahead, GT.
Yeah, what it is, it's called AVX instructions, and now they actually have AVX2 instructions in the new version of Ventura. And Syncretic, I think that's how you pronounce his name, the guy that does the open core patchers and stuff. He did a scan of Ventura and found over 1.6 million instances of an AVX calls, which means that basically for him, and he's in the process of trying to write a what do you call it, a interpreter for it. However, something with that many instructions in the operating system is going to slow it down to a crawl. So basically, my personal opinion is they may find a way around it, but I think it's the end of the line for the 5.1, 4.1, and possibly the 6.1, because it also doesn't have a lot of AVX stuff in it, and they dropped it from this as well.
I mean, the Xeon is a powerful chip, but it's way behind on the I series. Even when it was introduced, it was not as sophisticated as the I series.
Well, yeah, I mean, there were different instruction sets for different purposes. That's
I mean, it's a workhorse. You put these Xeons in servers that are up 24/7, 365, and you're not worrying about video encoders and all that stuff. So, for what it is, excellent chip. I've never personally broken a Xeon. I've never overheated one. I've never had one fail. I can't say that about I series CPUs. Usually it's the integrated graphics that bring them down, but I've seen plenty of them fail.
I kind of wish that Apple would have went the AMD CPU route, because the AMD CPUs were much better than the Intel ones.
But they weren't much better when Apple was doing the switch.
Exactly,
they were
true.
in a pain point in their life, and
Yeah.
and now, of course, the past few years, those chips are doing great things. But
But if I was one of the people working on OpenCore, and it's OpenCore, like, to my knowledge, it's OpenCore Legacy Patcher is the main product. They take what they make, they tweak it, and then Martin Lowe releases his version specifically for the Mac Pro. If I was working on OpenCore Legacy Patcher, I would not even touch this until Ventura is in its final release. By the time it's all done being developed, then you sit down and you waste weeks on trying to figure out how to make it work. And if anyone at that point wants to upgrade, do your thing. Here you go on Ventura.
Well, I mean,
but I wouldn't start messing with a beta. You know how much can change?
well, when he found 1.6 million calls of AVX in the beta, can you imagine what it's going to be like in the?
and even if you could patch all that, all it takes is for Apple to do an update to send you back to the drawing board.
Exactly. I think Jay's right about that. Don't do anything now, because it's just basically it's pointless.
And I imagine someone that is running the current beta would have to confirm that if it's already in there. If there's a setting for these unscheduled security patches that they're going to just push out to machines, if you can disable that, or if it's just part of the OS and you can't do anything about it. So they can sneak something in a security update that'll just bring your whole OpenCore system down.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the end of the line. I mean, these OpenCore people are freaking brilliant. The stuff they pull out of their butt, it's amazing. But this seems like the payoff is not worth it, the effort, I think.
Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the operating systems that are currently running. For the foreseeable future, those systems will be supported to an extent with software like browsers and stuff. Yes, if you need the latest and greatest software, you're going to be out of luck in a little bit shorter time than somebody on Ventura will be. But Monterey is a pretty new system. Yes, you don't have all the bells and whistles if you were on a newer system, and Apple is always very clear about that, whether it's a older iOS release, older iOS device, or a Macintosh device. The Intel Macs are not getting a feature parity, for the Apple Silicon stuff. But I mean, we still use old classic Macs and early versions of OS 10 for stuff. So it's not like the system is becoming unusable. But there you go.
And building on this Mac Pro thing, if I may, Bruce.
Yes.
Do we still expect at this point one last Intel version of the 2019 to come about, or it's done? The next Mac Pro we see, if we see one, will be ARM.
I feel like Apple would have a lot of trouble selling that if they went down that path. I suspect that they'll just be holding off, I think, until they can make the next Pro Apple Silicon.
And isn't that interesting? Because a few years ago, when we were talking about this, because the M1s just came out in 2020, and we were talking about this, we were like, oh yeah, they have to release another Intel one because so many people are still using software and hardware accessories that are designed for it and this and that. But I mean, you have the Mini that, are they still selling it, the Intel Mini? I think they're still selling it as like a high end, or they were
2018?
Yeah. I forget. And anyway, for the longest time, it was paired with the Mini on the store. But I mean, yeah, they're still selling the 2019 one. So I guess it depends on sales numbers. If they're not seeing people going gaga over buying those machines, I think that's a very good indicator of them going, we don't need to sell this anymore. The M1s are selling like hotcakes.
So the whole thing with, I believe, with the current Mac Pro is the fact that it's functional now. So if you are saying I need something super fast now, then away you go. If you are saying I want to buy this computer as an investment, well, the computer's going to last me the next 10, 15 years, then that one I think is probably not going to sell. But if you've got someone who's saying, right this minute, I need more computing power, I need to be more productive, I need to be faster, then away you go. And of course, the other thing is being able to run Windows on it as well. That is a big plus for some people. I think under those circumstances, they will probably still sell, but we're talking about a very, very small market here.
Yeah, I think a lot of businesses who have built, themselves into a corner using that machine or that software for whatever reason, they have already found their alternative because their business, they have to keep making money. And not to saying that 2019 is a slouch and they shouldn't continue using it. Please, people use, Apple IIs and 68K machines and old Windows boxes because the things that they're hooked up to are insanely expensive, equipment like scanners and medical imaging machines and so on. So
yeah. And there's several posts now in the various Facebook groups of what I consider good tests of people with a fully pimped out 5.1. We're talking RAID NVMe drives, the works, maxed out in every possible way. That'll easily keep up with the studio. Easily. So the 2019 with the right upgrades will run circles around a current studio, I imagine.
It's much more expensive, but that's
But if you have the cash and you're in the business where you make that cash back in one or two projects, totally worth it.
Sure. Yeah.
But now I'm all for keeping old hardware around. But if the operating system simply stops supporting it, no open core or anything is going to help us. It's just the end of the line. So if I had the cash right now to blow on a 2019 Mac Pro, I don't think I would do it.
No.
Well,
they're only going to go down in price too. So,
well, and that's the thing is that they're going to go down quicker than the 5.1s did, I think, because if they stop doing Intel versions of Mac OS, I mean, it's actually going to be stopped quicker than what we had on the 5.1, 4.1.
Yeah, I mean, heck, look at, I was on eBay looking at Mac Minis not long ago. I was surprised you get a 2012 for under $100 if you find the right auction. It's like, that's not that old of a machine. It'll still run a decent OS.
Well, the 2012 Mini, in my opinion, is an absolutely fantastic Mac.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what I'm using right this very second. So
I'm still using the 2011 iMac. I mean, it still functions what I need it to do, you know?
I still use a Pismo.
Back in my day.
okay,
And,
so
and then we have people like Dana that haven't even done OpenCore yet. They're still working on this ancient garbage, and they're perfectly happy with it. So,
yeah, I haven't gone open core on my Mac Pro. I've gone open core on other computers, but the Mac Pro is still running Mojave. So and that's got a lot to do with.
I
the
was
fact
sure you
that-
did.
No. Oh no, hang on. Sorry,
You did.
No, I did. No, you're right. I have got open
More
core.
lies from Brankus. Unbelievable.
I have got open core, but I haven't gone up from Mojave because I still want my 32-bit applications. So.
Well, that's because he's got all those applications on his bar down there, you know, those.
I like that one.
That's a California name I can get behind.
It should. I would love it. I would love it.
I'm waiting for macOS Death Valley.
It's like there's like Steve Jobs' skull like on the imagery.
Maybe they'll name that one the one that it'll be M1 or M2 only.
No, that's what it should have been. This one because it's 13. You got to go with the
Yeah.
imagery. They missed out.
I would love it if they had done the same sort of thing like with some Australian place names. That would have been good. It could be macOS.
just for no reason. They were in California for years. Just go to Australia.
They'll call it macOS Ayers Rock, and then everybody will get upset
Yeah, that's right.
because it's not the native name.
That's right. Yeah, no, I just think there would be some wonderful OS names if they were to pick a few places from here, like Bulladilla or something like that. But yeah, so anyhow, we're going to move on. Because I think
Can we move on, or can I ask one more question regarding the Mac
Nope.
Pro?
ask a question.
We have gone pretty far in some cases with keeping our Mac Pros alive, with sometimes very expensive upgrades. Now that we know it's probably soon to be the end of the road for the Mac Pro, how are we feeling about investing in our Mac Pros? Whether it's RAM or CPU upgrade or anything really, even a PCI USB card. Do we still feel like it's worth it?
No.
Not so much. I mean,
If
I've got a USB 3 card in mine. I've got 32 gigs of RAM, and I really don't need more.
I've got about the same in mine there, Dana. I've got a USB 3.0 card and 32 gigs of RAM. I have a 580 in there, so
Yeah, but you already upgraded. I'm taking Jay's question as a matter of fact. Like, let's say you have one and you need to put a card in it or something like that.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, then it's still cheaper than buying a new one.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
And what are you spending? $30-$40? You know, it's not.
I mean,
you know.
the second one I got had the base processors in it, which was the quad core, and I got the 6-core processors in it, delidded them and put them in there and upgraded it that way. I mean, but that's a cheap upgrade actually. It's only like $50.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be perfectly happy throwing, you know, let's say I'm moving this machine to be my streaming machine or whatever, and I need a new drive or something. I'm perfectly happy to put, you know, a $50 upgrade card in there or whatever. But the NVMe stuff, it gets a little pricey, you know. So no
Steve,
retro taking.
That was the most recent upgrade that I did to mine. It's not that long ago, and I put a 2 terabyte NVMe card in there with a PCI thing, and I have no regrets about that. It's not like I'm going to buy a new computer next week. This is something that's going
But
to.
you can feel it though, right? Just from startup to opening stuff,
Totally.
quadruple speed. So
Yeah.
Oh, of
Yeah,
course.
So what I had originally was I had an SSD, like a SATA SSD, on one of those PCIe cards, and it at least doubled the speed by going to the sled thingy.
Yeah, because the sled was in the Mac Pro is only SATA 2, not even SATA 3 like the later iMacs had.
Yeah. So yeah, no regrets about that whatsoever. I mean, you know, it's not like I'm going to deprive myself of speed and storage, you know, because I'm going to be buying another computer in a couple of years' time.
I still have platter drives in mine.
Yeah.
Not the main disk it's an SSD, but the storage drives are all platter drives.
Well, that's what mine
yeah.
are. I have
Same.
2 4 terabyte drives in it, so it gives me 8 terabytes total, and this is my Plex machine as well. So
Well, I'll be honest, doing Final Cut Pro stuff, even with 4K footage, a lot of the time I'll have it, the data I'm working on the Mac Studios SSD. But even if I have the clips on an external drive, which I usually do after I'm done with it, they load pretty darn quick, even from a spinning disk. So look, if you're doing like more than 4K or anything like that, yeah, you're probably going to want an SSD, or if you cannot bear to wait like for it to load for a second or the hard drive to spin up, yeah, you probably want, to put all the NVMe stuff all in your system. But even when I had the Mac Pro set up, I had the externals via USB 3 card, and that wasn't really a bottleneck. It was pretty darn quick still.
Here's a sad story. Oh no. Yeah, there is no Mac Pro 11. I'm sorry to say.
Sorry. The good news is you could probably find a 5.1 a little bit cheap. So.
What you can do with that 1.1 is put Windows 10 on it, and it'll run it better than a PC will.
that is true. That is true.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I've the 3.1 that I used to use down here in the workshop. I've just put that into storage now. I mean, I can't really think of any practical use for it. Even though it was a great computer at the time. It's a bit tired now.
It will still be a machine if you need to use specific software from that era on it. And that's, I think, why we hang on to a lot of these things. Because, yeah, the latest and greatest is nice, but when you need to run something and they no longer support it, or this software manufacturer is discontinued, that's the only way to do it sometimes.
Yeah, I have a G5 sitting right behind me that I use to game on with, Unreal Tournament, because it runs perfect on there.
Yeah. Yeah. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Just checking to see if I won Lotto last night.
And Bruce is out of here. He's like, screw this.
I was just looking at the prices of the Mac Studios here in Australia. I just need to be sure that. Damn.
Bruce needs to sell a lot more Blue Scuzzies.
Yeah.
So buy them now.
I don't make money selling Blue Scuzzies. I do that for as a service to the Australian vintage computer community.
So everyone subscribe to Bruce's Patreon so he gets a little bit of a tip.
I have to scan in a piece of paperwork for my wife. I'll be right back.
Okie dokie.
Oh, what? That is the lamest excuse I've ever heard.
But
It is
before
true.
It couldn't wait
As
22
easily
minutes.
as you, Bruce.
Before we go on, Bruce, let's do this.
Smash that like button.
I'm not smashing everything.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic, shall we? And this is iTunes 10 can no longer authorize new machines, and previous purchases can no longer be downloaded. Okay, so
this is a problem because that's the last version of iTunes that will work on a PowerPC Mac. So that is why this is kind of a big deal, because previous to this, you could actually still download music and everything on there from the PowerPC machine. But I think Apple did warn that this was coming. I remember reading something that either somebody discovered it or it was on a Mac Rumors article or something, that the encryption or the algorithm of accepting payments or something like that, or a backend change on the iTunes server was causing this. And I think they made that pretty clear. I mean, it still sucks. It would have been nice, but the thing is, I guess if you're buying anything from iTunes, there are ways to strip the DRM off of that and just put it on a PowerPC system. But it does suck that you have to go through that hoop now.
It doesn't stop people on those computers from playing an existing library with iTunes, does it?
No. As long as the machine is authorized, you're fine. The problem is the authorization is tied into the iTunes store. You actually have to log in and all this stuff. So one thing is you cannot deauthorize a PowerPC machine now, but you could always go to your account, and I think once a year they allow you to deauthorize all the machines and you can start fresh. But yeah, that's going to be a problem, because if you have a DRM iTunes song and your machine is not authorized, well, you can't play it on a PowerPC machine. You have to strip that DRM from it.
Well, I thought that the iTunes 10, if you deauthorize it, you can never reauthorize again, correct?
Well, that's what this is saying. Once you deauthorize the machine, now maybe you can't even deauthorize it because that connection to the store won't work. That could also be the case. I'm totally expecting that.
To be honest with you, I thought that Apple's authorization and deauthorization thing was a pain in the butt because
Of
only
course.
letting 5 machines, and most of us, I have way more than 5 devices. that can
GT,
use-
you're preaching to the choir here. I grew up in a family of 6. Okay, each of us had a machine, and it was like jumping through hoops. All right, who has to deauthorize? Because I could play. I want to play it. No, I got to deauthorize. And it was a madhouse because we all shared the same iTunes account, and you only had 5 machines that could play that back. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, that's I don't know why Apple doesn't get rid of that limit.
It's not them. It's the music company. There is an agreement between them and the music companies and the RIAA and all this crap that made that. That is why there's a limit on it. I have no doubt in my mind that's why.
that's probably you're probably right.
Because you have to think about when iTunes was created, when all that groundwork was developed, it was in cooperation with the music companies in order for the carrot on the stick was we're going to sell your music. And the companies were like, yeah, but we got some quid pro quos here. You can't just do it, the way you want it. So it's stupid, but at least iTunes 10 still works.
My music folder is 67.2 gigabytes, and it's all music that I have ripped and saved as MP3s.
Bruce is on fire.
I have nothing that belongs to Apple, so I can move it to any computer I want.
Yeah, I think the last
So
time
use sharing.
I bought something on the iTunes store, it was like an exclusive, like they remastered something when it was
Oh,
only
is
on
it-
iTunes. They
is it
didn't
the
release a
Olympics then?
CD or anything like that, unfortunately.
Bruce, are you cold?
Yeah.
I thought it was the Olympics. I thought he hit the torch there.
No. What's the temperature there?
Watch. There we go. Yep.
It's about 14 degrees Celsius. So it's a concrete floor here, so
Kidding me?
freezing.
Springtime weather.
It is. It's the cold floor that's getting me. The room temperature's fine. It's just
So if we see Bruce just go up in flames right
That's
here
the end of the
live.
show. Yeah, we just gotta-
That's almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
the host is on fire. We have to end it legally.
so there's a quirk of this little heater. That's all. When I hold it at a particular angle, it does that.
You should maybe get a different one, Bruce.
Yeah, I would
The only one I got.
I would probably not use that.
I love the live stream Bruce did where he's like, no, it's fine. And as soon as he puts it like down, he's like a huge flame comes up. He's like, oh!
That.
It only does it for a little bit. Only for a little bit.
Oh, a little bit.
There's only a fire hazard for a few seconds.
I
It
have a
does it
screen.
for a little bit until it does it more.
But then open can of gas down here.
Oh,
That'd be
God.
fine.
Oh yeah, that's
Plastic.
really
Yeah, Bruce will be like, yeah, I'll start a live stream in 30 seconds. Then you see like the news pop up that a shack is on fire in Australia.
There we go. Oh, stop it! Stop it!
Hang on. I know.
Welcome to Propane Yak.
Yeah.
Whatever he's using.
Now I can warm my feetsies.
until it goes fire again.
Here it is.
Were we done already ragging on Apple for
Well,
the iTunes thing? or-
Dana was bringing up good points
Oh,
of,
yes, go ahead.
he has a local MP3 collection that does not have any DRM stuff on it, which is great. And look, I whenever I have the opportunity, I will pay extra for DRM free stuff because it's worth it. Oh, Bruce. Yep, that's it.
Oh, I remember that day. Remember
It's almost as bad as
It was
the
fun.
tantalum blowing up, right?
Yeah, that one. Well, that one. I felt
At least
like
Bruce was expecting fire here,
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, that's right. Yes, I knew.
It wasn't too long after the two effects.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, I prefer to have a local collection of music. I only have probably a few dozen songs in iTunes, and like I said, they were exclusives at the time you couldn't get elsewhere. A lot of places are not putting out CDs, much to my dismay, because I
and
will
that U2 album that everyone got.
because I will gladly buy a CD and rip it myself, but some places are just doing digital only. So
Yes,
That's me, and it didn't come from Apple. It was mostly Napster, but after that, I ripped my own. I've never liked the idea of
the only thing I use iTunes for was their lossless file compression is actually pretty darn good.
Well, I mean, iTunes also making ringtones for your phone is another good thing to have it for.
Yeah.
Welcome to the
Yeah.
iPhone 4.
So back in the day, because of bandwidth, most people encoded their MP3s at like 128 bit.
Oh, 120 kilobit was fancy, Dana. 64 was where it was at.
Oh God, no. Anything I would download would be 128, and then I can hear the difference between, I can hear the difference in a 128 and anything higher.
Yeah, 256 or 320. Yeah.
But what I think the ones I rip now are like 392 or something like that, and you just can't hear the difference between those and the straight, like the full copy.
That's the same with people that always had, oh yeah, I can hear the difference between an LP and a CD. The LP, fuck.
Well, yeah.
I mean, screw you. That's not happening. I don't care who you are,
Yeah,
what kind of equipment you have. No.
No,
Yeah, because you're gonna hear that pop and wow and the flutter.
Oh yeah,
on
it's
a
gonna sound
LP.
worse, but they
Yeah.
say that LP is better than CD.
No,
and
you
I-
could you could still hear the difference between like a 256K AAC and lossless. There is a difference
Yes, but
Yes.
to rip a CD these days in FLAC format or something, opposed to 320 KB MP3, that's, unless you have the best speakers known to man, I don't think it's worth it.
there. No, but there are, like, if you are into classical music or anything with an orchestra, there are weird things that happen in compression. Thankfully, it doesn't happen a lot, but there are some. I don't know if it's a CD or if it was just like the way it was mastered, but there are some discs that I've ripped where the MP3 version just it has like such a weird thing going on, and I've encoded it via iTunes, via other programs. But when when you rip it as lossless, the issue goes away. So I mean, there are always oddities out there. But
Have any of you ever adopted the AAC thing?
No.
I haven't.
what, like,
There was a period of time where iTunes would automatically, I mean, you could change it in the settings, but it would automatically convert anything that you ripped off of a CD to AA.
Oh yeah, I fully adopted that. You know why? The files were slightly smaller and they had enhanced artwork that you could put in there too.
Man,
But that was just a personal preference.
Yeah, I'm
a
still
weirdo.
MP3.
I converted everything to MP3 because then you could use it on all of your mobile players and things.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I think I had like a little in the early days, like a little player, like a Nomad or something like that. I mean, that only took, I think, MP3. So
Yeah. I mean,
Well-
AAC really caught on like after iTunes started using it for a year or two. Of course, you couldn't play the Apple AAC with DRM on non-Apple players, but AAC was widely adopted by a bunch of things. Even an old CD player I have will do it. So
okay, so shall we move on to the next one, or does anyone have anything else they would like to add to this?
Yeah, I'm good.
I'm good.
This is a very brief topic. I mean, this won't take particularly long, but as we saw from the sorry,
This is
Well,
back
sorry.
yet.
Yeah, we've got we've got another 15 minutes left, so let's see how we go. We've
yeah,
got
Dave's
to-
not here yet, is he?
No, I don't think he is.
We already talked about the Apple One auction.
So yes, so the new feature in Ventura, which of course it was even big enough to get on the news here. Well, actually, they ran it as a news story saying, whole new way of doing things, blah, 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 sort of stuff. So what we did find out was obviously, so when it comes to editing and deleting text, for those who haven't had a chance to try out these new sort of beta systems, is you have, I think it was 10 or 15 seconds or something to make a change. If you don't make a change within that time frame, it's locked in. But what we did also discover is that GT sent out a message and then he deleted it and he said, "Yay, it's deleted," except that it wasn't. It might have been deleted at his end, but it was still well and truly on ours. So what does that tell us? It tells us that these new features, the editing and deleting of text, they are only going to work if you are sending to someone else who is also using Ventura. So,
Well, not just in Ventura, iOS 16, because that's what I was using.
oh, okay, no worries. So, if you are thinking about, sending some sort of rude thing to your boss and then change your mind, you have to keep a few things in mind. First of all, they need to be on the same operating system, but most importantly, of course, they also need to be using an iOS device. It's not going to work if you're sending it to an Android. It's just going to go straight out. It's not going to be deleted. So,
Yeah.
I guess I just wanted to mention that as cool as this feature is, it's something that I think I can see it sort of happening, like, for instance, maybe in a tight circle of friends that might be sending to each other regularly, and they all know that they're on the latest version. But it isn't something where you can just go out and say, under any circumstances, I'm going to edit this text message or I'm going to delete this text message. Please go ahead, Steve.
Oh no, you bring up an excellent point, because even if you have the latest iOS, if you have an older Mac or something with messages on it, that message will come through and it'll stay there on the older messages. It won't be deleted like we witnessed. And there also is not a clear way to understand if the other person, and maybe they'll fix this or introduce something in the final version. But right now, there's no way for me to tell if Bruce or GT or Dana or Jay or anybody is using the latest that will support that feature. Now, maybe if you tap on their contact, there'll be a little icon or something like that. But the only functionality right now we have is green. That means, okay, you're a text messaging device only, or blue, you're an iMessage capable device. That's all there is. So,
Jay.
It's a gimmick right now. It can be very useful if you can guarantee that everybody is using the same product. Like WhatsApp has had this forever. Signal, Transmit. No, that's FTP. So there's a few messengers that have had this feature, but they can guarantee that everybody is running the same version if people update. That is, and with iMessage, I mean, I have a first-gen iPad Mini with whatever runs on it that's still doing iMessage. So to get everyone onto iOS 16 or newer, we're talking maybe 5 years from now. If we're lucky, this will be a feature you can rely on. But until then, I wouldn't trust it.
Well, I think that the editing part of it is going to be great, because we send out a lot of texts where people, I didn't mean to send that, and they go out and edit. But
GT
we
sucks.
would never,
oh no, I meant Dana.
We would never undo send. Like Bruce said, a tight circle of friends. You know, the ruder the better. You should see our group chat. Unbelievable, the stuff that goes on there.
No, Jay, I didn't say to stick it up your blank. I really meant to stick it up your blank.
How long has that chat group been going down? Almost 4 years.
100 gigabytes.
See, the size of it is the thing that's amazing.
That's why my iCloud is eaten up. That's.
I've deleted mine before, so it's not nearly as archived.
The only reason I don't delete it. The only reason I don't delete it is because, like, every once in a while I'll be like, Bruce mentioned there was this one file that has a thing in it, or the one driver, and I'll search like a very specific term, and like 3 years ago he's like, oh yeah, did you see the such and such? I'm like, that's where it is.
Yes, we probably should have a better way of storing our informational resources behind the same sort of thing. Start searching through thousands and thousands and thousands of text.
Well, that's like when I needed the Macintosh TV recapping guide, which wasn't on your site for whatever reason, or a photo of something that wasn't on your site. I'm like, where is that? And it was on iMessage.
Well, isn't there a site that Bruce and Steve manage that does?
No, the one that Bruce manages, he just seldomly updates it whenever he feels like.
I'm not quite sure why on earth I haven't done the Macintosh TV yet.
That's what you see every time.
Yeah, I know. I must just get it up there. I did put something up there recently, but I can't remember what. I added something new. So
we bring it up.
You should have
I don't know why I haven't done that, and then he still doesn't do it.
Yeah,
I still haven't done it.
That's why I have the bootleg of the Macintosh Portable non-backlit recapping guide, because you haven't finalized that yet.
I added something. Now you've got me wondering. I did add something.
I think was it the LC something? There was like a change to it, or no? That was something you were arguing something on Discord, I think.
Oh, that's the whole whether the capacitor should be around the other way. Yeah,
just put it both ways.
People keep contacting me and saying, "So, you going to change it?" And I'm like, "No." I need to make mention of it in there. There's no doubt.
Yes, that'll shut them up.
I will keep the recapping guide so that it matches what the original was. So. What did I add? I can't remember.
I mean, it would be great if Messages was supported on other platforms. Like if there was a messaging app on, and they'll never do it on Windows or Android. Or
Right.
Oh no, I know they'd never do it. But if they did, then that would, okay, those support those features as well. But that's not going to happen.
So they can I just? I'm not an Android user, so on Android they're still using SMS, are they?
Yes, but so you have your different availability of what like app, from what I understand, what app like you want to use for messages. So you could use WhatsApp as like your main messaging platform, or the one built into Android and all this stuff. So you do have other capabilities, but you run into the same problem, because if you're using WhatsApp but somebody else is just using the plain SMS thing built onto their Android phone, you're going to run into, okay, well, I can't undo or whatever, that I could do in WhatsApp versus this. So it's a similar thing, except there's a lot more providers than just Apple's iMessage, like on Android, as far as I understand. I could be wrong.
I have to say, Apple's iMessage is probably, even though it's not called iMessage anymore, it's
I
probably the most used piece of Apple software for me.
Yeah,
I don't think I use any other Apple software more than I use that. So
I have to agree with you. I think I've used iMessage or Messages the most.
I use iChat, so shut up.
iChat AV.
Okay, so well, I think we've got enough time left to do our little wrap up stuff. So
What the
Do the thing.
So we're gonna start doing the wrap up stuff. So
Trillion
I
IRC.
remember that. Yeah.
there's we can do a little bit of self promotion stuff.
no.
Anyone got anything happening?
It's Bondi.
I am going to post a link here, but at 10 o'clock tonight, I will be going live on my channel, and I will be basically replacing a battery in a 2017 MacBook Pro.
Will he release the magic smoke or not?
Now that is about 40 minutes from now, is it?
Yeah, somewhere's around there.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, no worries.
I scheduled it for 10 o'clock just in case we did run overtime, because we've been known to
never
do that.
run over.
Nah.
Okay, what about you, Jay? You got anything happening?
Nope. I have a second box of Exif power supplies and a few Pixels mods, but I'm not streaming any of this stuff.
But he'll
I
watch
would
my
love to hear. I would love for you to tell the story about your mysterious delivery today.
Nope.
Come
Come
on.
on, man. All right, so
What's the return address on that?
I am a proud owner of a Kaiweets something very very cool multimeter. I received that on June 1st. Yeah, that. Apart from that, I have not ordered anything from Kaiweets. So today I opened the mailbox and there's this packaging.
Is it from them?
It is from Kaiweets fulfillment on Amazon. So I'm like, I haven't ordered anything new. It's not broken. I don't want to return or anything. So what the hell is this? So I messaged them on Facebook. Say, hey, can you figure out this tracking number, what it is, what it's supposed to be, where it came from, and all that. And I'm just sitting here all day racking my brain. Like, okay, maybe Bruce sent me something or got them to send me something, because Bruce is very influential, very powerful and famous person. When he tells Amtech to send me flux, I get flux. So I figured maybe the same happened with this. So Bruce wakes up. Said, hey, Bruce, did you get them to send me anything? He's like, no, why would I do that? I said, yeah, good point. And then he comes up with this insane idea. Like, you got to be high to even think about it. But he did. He said, did your multimeter arrive in the same packaging? Could this be the same packaging that you threw out or you got rid of and it just got re-delivered to you? Because it was open. It was like this. I should have mentioned that. It was like this when I got it. So I thought something was stolen. I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. So I look up the tracking number, and indeed, this very envelope was delivered to me on June 1st with my multimeter in it. I tossed it out. The trash was collected this Tuesday, 2 days ago. It must have blown out of the truck or something. And someone put it back in my mailbox.
That's funny.
This envelope is important. I must return it to its owner.
Who even thinks of that? It's crazy. But yeah, mystery solved.
Oh, God. That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dana, do you have anything interesting coming up?
No.
We're not going to ask you anymore, you know.
That's fine.
How about you
That's what
just
he's
tell us?
counting on.
Yeah. If anything pops into my head, I'll tell you.
And how about you, Steve? You,
Well, I do have a video that's coming out. I'm gonna share my screen here so I can
Does it
show you
happen to be about the beta?
a little bit of a preview of the beta over here. Here we go.
Stop
Yeah.
doing that.
Never. I made it. I made a fancy thumbnail for it and everything. It's on my Patreon here.
Ooh.
So there's
Is it a rant video?
you have to find out. Of course it is.
Hooray for Chicago font.
Yes. Why do you think I would risk installing a beta if I didn't have something to rant about?
Oh.
So let's just say I have a very strong opinions about inserting a vertical orientation portrait style control panel into a Macintosh environment where Apple does not sell anything that has a portrait orientation for a Mac. So anyway, and you have extra clicks to go through just to do these things. So that video will probably be released tomorrow or Saturday, whenever I get around.
but
to
it is available now if you're a patron. Is that correct?
Exactly. There's just little edits that have to be made. So there you
What
go.
happened to our back?
Okay. Yes, indeed.
Somebody
So
sneezed on the thing. that was me installing the beta the other day. It's going great.
Oh dear. I will probably live stream this weekend for anyone who is interested. So yeah, I've still got so much stuff to do. Yeah, got to try and get some of this stuff back to their owners because I've got more stuff coming to me as well. Okay, so we have a
Something or other.
website.
There's a thing.
Things to pop up. We have a website. If you want to check that out, regularly updated. Well, it was a few years ago, anyway.
Once a year at least.
Yes, that's right. We also have a Discord where we're all chatting away in there and sending and receiving messages.
And undoing and editing messages.
And yeah, you can edit messages on Discord. So just everyone, just keep that in mind. You can edit and delete messages, which I had to do once when I accidentally sent the wrong message to someone. I think they saw it anyway, though. But never mind. Tinker Different. Don't forget, it's a fantastic online community where you can get all sorts of help and information about stuff, and you can buy and sell things and chat to people, and lots of clever people on there releasing their amazing new projects and stuff like that. So Tinker Different. Don't. What's that say? Turn on notifications. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And make sure you turn on notifications so that you can find out when we are live streaming. So that is probably about it, unless anyone has anything else to add.
No.
Cool.
Cool. If you missed what that was, you have to watch the last show.
I saw it on the list and I didn't know what it was, so I clicked on it. I was like, it's 1 second. Who cares?
Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. That was from the WWDC where Steve had a slightly unexpected bodily function.
I felt it coming up. I thought I could contain it. I obviously could not.
Bruce said he had a medical event.
But we were talking about the medical app thingy.
At least my pants remain dry. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay, so I think that's it for us. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. That's also referred to as a fortnight.
Yeah.
Fortnight.
A game?
Yeah, we will see you there. Thank you all for joining us, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You